back to the second hour, Monday, October 14th, 2013. Monday, October 14th, 2013. Thanks for tuning in and turning on, as we used to say in the 70s. Visit the website, fireyourmdnow.com. Become a Dr. Glidden Insider. Become a Dr. Glidden subscriber. And if you do that right now, guess what? You'll have access to tonight's live chat, 8 p.m. Central Time to 9 p.m. Central Time for Dr. Glidden subscribers, Dr. Glidden Insiders only. You'll also have access to 100-plus hours of archived health webinars that will actually give you a clue and, quite frankly, is a million times better than your medical insurance premium, because what does your medical insurance premium give you? It gives you access to the leading cause of bankruptcy, the leading cause of death in the United States, and a system of medicine under whose tutelage Alzheimer's has skyrocketed, autism has skyrocketed. We're getting worse and worse and worse because the MDs are completely clueless about the pathoneogenesis of most chronic disease and are not concerned with how to cure a damn thing. They are not trained how to cure you. They're trained how to manage your symptoms with drugs. Now, sometimes that's appropriate. Most of the times it is not. Fire your MD now. Join longevity. Give your body the medical nutrition that it needs. Stop eating food that's coming up the works. Get the heck out of the way and let the healing begin. Let's go to Oregon now and see what Caroline is up to. Hey, Caroline. Thanks for calling. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. They asked me why I was calling. I mentioned cholesterol, but the problem is also hypertension.
Oh, yeah. How do you know you've got high blood pressure?
Well, I went to the doctor 2 weeks ago. I hadn't been to a doctor for 4 years. In 2009, I had open heart surgery, a mitral valve replacement, and several bypasses. I haven't seen a doctor since then because they gave me 10 prescriptions when I came home, and I didn't want to take 10 drugs.
You're my favorite person in the world now, Caroline. So, do you remember what the numbers were when they took your blood pressure?
Yes, I had to go to my husband's job for the health screening for our health insurance about 3 weeks ago. My blood pressure was very high. It was 220 over 114 or something, and I made the doctor appointment because that was very high. When they took it to the doctor's office, it was 186 over 114. He put me on lisinopril, 20 milligrams a day, one a day, and I saw him again today. It was down to 168 over 112. He wants to double me up on the lisinopril, and he also wants me to put me on statin drugs, and I don't want to go on statin drugs, so how do I deal with this?
Well, you just refuse the statin drugs because it's a ridiculous prescription. Statin drugs, cholesterol has nothing to do with heart disease, has nothing to do. From our point of view, cholesterol, by the way, my colleague, Dr. Wallach, in 1972, I believe, it was 72, maybe 76, I can't remember, he published a paper that showed that arteries become clogged with cholesterol, not because there's cholesterol in the body, because there's inflammation in the artery. And the cholesterol is acting like a bandage to keep you from bleeding to death. It's not cholesterol that's the problem. The MDs have their heads up their ass about this. That's
what I thought. I read that.
They're completely 100% wrong about it. So you need to really question the intellectual capacity of anybody who prescribes cholesterol medication because they're just not staying current with the literature. They're not. What they're doing is staying current to what the pharmaceutical companies tell them. You know, they gave up the practice of medicine, and they're basically just shills for the pharmaceutical reps who come to their office and tell them all these wonderful things about, statin drugs, and it's nonsense. So, number one, now remember who you're talking to. Look, I can prescribe drugs.
Yes.
Drugs are not the problem. We're not anti-statin drugs because they're a drug. We're anti-statin drugs because it's a stupid prescription and it's dangerous, quite frankly. It doesn't work, number one. Now, number two. All right. The most common, there's a saying, right, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you hear hoofbeats, you think about horses before you think about wildebeest, right? So when it comes to high blood pressure, the single most common cause of high blood pressure is not enough calcium and not enough magnesium. That's it. The single most. Now, people that have a calcium deficiency, big enough to cause blood pressure of this magnitude often will also experience a difficulty falling asleep or a difficulty with their sleep patterns throughout night. So this begs the question, what's your sleep like?
I wake up a lot.
Bingo. All right. Do you get
I do.
restless legs at night in bed?
Pardon?
Do you ever get restless legs at night in bed?
Yes, that's another problem. Since the 4 or 5 years ago, I started having problem with like numbness down in my legs.
Yeah.
I mean, I have feeling I can feel somebody poke me or anything like that, but there's just that strange sensation in my legs and my feet.
Yeah, that's a calcium deficiency. It's another arm of the same octopus. So that, these are, all of these things when you put them together are indications that, well, guess what? You have a strong and persistent calcium deficiency. And most assuredly, that's what's making your blood pressure spike.
Okay.
It's that simple. Now, I'm going to tell you why, because you seem like a smart woman, okay? Yeah, you've got two types of blood vessels in your body. Mm-hmm. One is an artery, which carries blood away from the heart, and the other is a vein, and the vein carries blood back to the heart. The only difference between an artery and a vein is the arteries have muscles in them, and the veins do not. The muscles in your arteries constrict and relax in order to help the heart pump the blood. And the muscle in the artery is no different than a muscle in your arm, or in your leg, or anywhere else in the body. In order for a muscle anywhere to constrict and relax, you need calcium and magnesium. You need a bunch of other things, but calcium and magnesium are the biggest players. Okay. So when you develop a calcium or a magnesium deficiency, the muscle will constrict, but it can't relax. So you get these funny, restless leg sensations in your legs at night in bed. You get muscle tics or twitches or cramps in different muscle groups of the body. And if it's a muscle in the artery that constricts but doesn't relax, your blood pressure spikes. It's that simple. So how much do you weigh, Caroline?
174. I have lost 11 pounds in the last month or so.
All right, good girl. So here's what I would do for you for the first 8 weeks, 2 months, all right?
Okay.
I would do one healthy brain and heart pack, and one bottle of Beyond Osteo FX. One healthy brain and heart pack and one bottle of Beyond Osteo FX a month. All right? Do that for 8 weeks. How did you hear about this radio show?
Well, I haven't listened before, but just once, a couple of times. My son called in about 2 or 3 months ago because he was having problems with kidney stones. And he's gone on the Healthy Start Pack. I've been taking the Tangy Tangerine and a little extra calcium, but I haven't gone on the whole health pack. So I guess I probably need to do that. Yeah,
so what I would do, actually, now that I'm thinking about this out loud, considering the severity of the blood pressure, here's what I would do for the first 8 weeks. So I would do the Healthy Start Pack, or the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which is the Healthy Start Pack plus a couple of extra things added on, right? So it's the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack and two bottles of Beyond Osteo FX. So you're going to have 3 total bottles of Beyond Osteo FX, which is the white liquid calcium and magnesium that you need. My recommendation to you is do 1 ounce of that in a little bit of orange juice in the morning on an empty stomach or between meals, okay?
Okay.
And do 2 ounces of the white liquid calcium in a little bit of orange juice or a little bit of water immediately before bed. Immediately before bed. 2 ounces in a little bit of orange juice or water or any type of juice that you want immediately before bed. Like swallow that stuff down, brush your teeth, go to bed.
Okay.
All right. Now, over the next 8 weeks, please get it. If you haven't already done it, go to CVS or Walgreens or get a blood pressure cuff. Start taking your blood pressure a couple times a day, every day.
We have one at home.
As your blood pressure starts to come down because of the medical nutrition, you need to start to slowly wean yourself off of the blood pressure med, either of your own volition or with a pharmacist's help. I don't really care. But the recommendation, because the whole thing here is that if I'm correct, and I usually am about this, if your high blood pressure is caused by a calcium deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
When you give your body the calcium that it needs, your blood pressure is going to normalize. Now, if you have normal blood pressure and take a blood pressure medication, it's going to make it too low.
Yes.
And you'll pass out, or you'll faint and fall down and hit your head against the coffee table or whatever, and that's not good. So you need to be Johnny on the spot, measuring your blood pressure a couple times a day. And as the numbers come down, which invariably they will, sometime within 8 weeks, then you just slowly wean yourself off of the meds. The goal here being to be 100% medication-free with normal blood pressure.
Yes.
Now, right? That might take 3-4 months for you to work that. It might take 3 weeks. I don't know. But this is why you need to measure the blood pressure and just stay on it. Now, the last thing that we do here, Caroline, in order to kind of drive this home and make this work better and faster for you, because, this is your blood pressure really is pretty high here, and we need to fix it. We need to support and promote the structure and function of your cardiovascular system with expediency. So you need to stop eating the 10 bad foods. Stop eating the 10 bad foods. To get that list, there are 10 foods that we recommend everybody not even look at, let alone eat. Just visit my website, fireyourmdnow.com.
I don't have access to computer.
All right, so get your son to send you the list, because it's a short little list of just 10 foods. He knows what they are. 10 foods that we have everybody stop eating. So when you eliminate those foods from your diet and take the nutritional supplements, within 8 weeks there should be a noticeable, measurable turnaround in everything. And don't just be paying attention to the blood pressure, but of course your mood, your energy, your appetite, your sleep, everything, because this is the Caroline from Oregon program, not really a blood pressure program. We're up against the hard break, Caroline. Check it out. Call me back in about 3 weeks with an update. I'll look forward to it. We're coming back to Dallas, folks. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. Going to go to Dallas to talk to Angela about something called pemphigus, which is a nasty disease, quite frankly. Hey, Angela, thanks for calling. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. How are you?
Good, thanks. What's going on?
I actually take care of calling for my mother. She has Alzheimer's, osteoporosis, and has now developed bullous stenoid. And so they gave her a prednisone and an antibiotic.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for help to find what I can do to get her off of that.
Well, again, if the MDs, if we took prednisone and antibiotics away from the MDs, they'd all be out of business, because that's what they throw at everything. And what does prednisone do? Prednisone knocks down inflammation, but prednisone doesn't get to the root cause of what caused the inflammation, and prednisone actually will make any type of a bone or joint problem worse. It makes bone and joint problems worse because of a side effect of the drug. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And, every once in a while, a little bit of prednisone can actually facilitate the healing process, kind of like if you put ice on, a part of your body. You dropped a rock on your foot and it starts to swell, and you put ice on it, it will knock the swelling down, and that's a good thing. Well, you can knock down inflammation for a little while. That's a good thing with something like prednisone, but that's all that the MDs do, and they give it for much longer than you need it, and then they withdraw it, and the root cause of the illness is not touched. So it comes back, you go from bad to worse, and, life isn't good anymore. So what was the last thing that you said? That your mother has bullous pemphigus? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's what it is.
All right, so bullous pemphigus is when the skin actually starts to detach from itself. It's kind of like, if you had an onion and you cut the onion in half, there's, layers of the onion. And when the onion has a lot of moisture in it, when it's fresh and right out of the ground, the layers stick together. But if you left that onion on the tabletop for 3, 4, 5 days, it would dry out, and the layers of the onion would start to separate from themselves. Well, that's what happens in pemphigus. As the layers of the skin separate from themselves, it actually happens on a cellular level. You get nasty blisters and the big, ugly bullous eruptions on the skin. I mean, it's a horrible disease, and it's caused because the skin has lost the nutrients necessary to maintain its structural integrity. So the main thing to do here is support and promote the structure and function of the skin. And so how do we do that? We do glucogel and selenium, because glucogel and selenium have the raw materials necessary in order to help this go away, in order to help the layers kind of reattach themselves. So now also essential fatty acids are indicated because of the history of dementia. So we can do a 2-for-1 here by giving the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, selenium, and glucogel appropriate for body weight. The Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, selenium, and glucogel appropriate for body weight. But there's something interesting to talk about. There are many different types of dementia, and it's really hard to tell which type of dementia somebody has, and you can't diagnose Alzheimer's until somebody's dead. You can only have a definitive diagnosis of Alzheimer's if you cut the brain open and look at it under a microscope. Oh, yeah, that was Alzheimer's. Oh, no, we were wrong. It wasn't Alzheimer's. It was something else. There is a type of dementia called Sundowner syndrome, and Sundowner syndrome is a vitamin B1 deficiency. So if anybody out there in Radio Land has anybody in your life that has dementia, it would be prudent for you to give them a B complex vitamin supplement for 4 weeks and see if they get better. Because they might. Because it might be a simple vitamin B deficiency, B1 specifically. And who knew? Well, the MD's certainly not going to know. And it's, it's worth a try. So also in addition, I would deliver, get 1 bottle of the D-Stress. 1 bottle of the D-Stress. Because that's a good B complex longevity supplement. So do the D-Stress, the glucogel, selenium, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. And also probably the thing that's accelerating this condition, Angela, is wheat, barley, rye, and oats, which is probably the only thing that they're feeding her, right?
That's right. And actually, I listened to something before you said about oats, about oatmeal, and I didn't realize that. I give her that every morning.
Oh, yeah, so you want to switch that out. So, eggs would be a really good thing to give her. Anything that's high in cholesterol, Angela, eggs, butter, chicken with the skin, hamburger cooked rare, steak cooked rare, cholesterol, and top it off with some cholesterol. Check it out, Angela. We're up against the hard break. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. 866-582-9933. That's the number to call to speak with me live. 866-582-9933. That's toll free. And if you're listening to the podcast and want info, that number, 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Another live chat tonight for Dr. Glidden Insiders, exclusively for insiders and their guests. 8 o'clock Central Time. To become a Dr. Glidden Insider, best $20 a month you have ever spent. Visit fireyourmdnow.com. Sign up for my online subscription series and educate yourself with our simple solutions for science-based, clinically verified health recovery with medical nutrition. The stuff that your MD is completely clueless about. 855-347-3696 is the live call-in line. Lines are open. We had a live chat this morning. Monday we do a double header. We do a live chat in the morning and a live chat in the evening. And we had a question this morning that I would like to read to you and then answer, because I didn't get to answer it completely. This is from a guy named Dean in Maryland. Dean says, "Hi, Doc. I've been working on my medical nutrition program for 6 weeks, and during this time I have stopped taking several of my prescription medications, which included amiodarone and digoxin, and my overall health has greatly improved. I have, parentheses, soon to be had, end parentheses, cardiomyopathy and congestive heart failure." Cardiomyopathy is an enlarged heart. The single most common cause of cardiomyopathy is not enough selenium. And congestive heart failure, the single most common cause of congestive heart failure is not enough vitamin B1. However, in the case of an enlarged heart, often what happens is as the heart enlarges, because it doesn't have enough selenium, the muscles of the heart will enlarge, but the valves do not. The muscles enlarge, but the valves do not. So as the muscle enlarges, the opening around which the valve has to close gets bigger than the valve. And so when you get a bigger opening than the valve can close, you get funky blood pumping ability, because, you know, it's kind of like the valve has a leak in it. It doesn't really, but as the heart gets enlarged, the valve isn't going to be able to close the hole the way that it needs to. And so when the heart constricts to pump, some of the blood backs up, and this is what causes congestive heart failure, because the blood will back up into the lungs because the valve is funky. Well, most of the time in an enlarged heart, the valve is funky because the heart is enlarged, and it's like a 2-for-1. And the larger the heart gets, the worse it gets. So in any event, Dean goes on to say, he's telling us what he takes. He takes the Healthy Start 2.0, EFA Plus, Ultimate Dailies, Ultimate Selenium, White Liquid Calcium. And my question, his question today is, after taking the EFAs, Ultimate Dailies, and selenium, within minutes my heart rate will increase from the 70s to the high 90s and will stay there for a couple of hours before lowering back to the 80s. And this happens 3 times a day. He has a defibrillator and a pacemaker to assist with any life-threatening arrhythmia. He has activated 4 times, the last one being September 2010, and wanted my thoughts. And like he said before, he does not like doing the funky chicken, which is what happens when he activates the defibrillator and the pacemaker. All right, so this is very interesting. So this guy takes the essential fatty acids, the Ultimate Daily capsules, and the selenium. And after that, his heart rate increases. Well, I don't think it's the selenium that's doing it, but you never know. If I had to put money on it, I would say it would be the Ultimate Dailies that are doing this, but it's impossible to tell, because there's more than selenium in the Youngevity Selenium supplement. There's also a powdered berry that's high in anthocyanidins in there. It's possible he's having an allergic reaction to that. It's possible he's having an allergic reaction to the protein that's in the essential fatty acid. It's possible that he's having some type of a reaction to one of the herbs that's in the Ultimate Daily capsule. Hard to say. So what do we do? Well, we have to do it by process of elimination. So, Dean, my recommendation to you here is stop taking the Ultimate Dailies and the selenium. Just don't take the Ultimate Dailies and the selenium tomorrow. Take the EFAs, as you always have, and see if the EFA all by itself increases the heart rate. If it doesn't, then the next time you take the dose, add the Ultimate Daily capsule and see if the addition of the Ultimate Daily capsule increases your heart rate. If it does, then you know it's the Ultimate Daily, but we're not done yet, because the selenium may also be problematic. So the next time that you take your supplements, just take the selenium all by itself and see if the selenium makes your heart race. Now, and by process of elimination, you'll be able to figure out what it is that's making the heart go bonkers. Most of the time, an accelerated heart rate like this is caused by a delayed hypersensitivity reaction to a food that you're allergic to, or something that you're allergic to. It doesn't always have to be a food, but you can only be allergic to a protein, so it has to be a protein of some sort. It could be a reaction to an herb that's in the Ultimate Daily capsule, and if that's the case, it wouldn't be an allergic reaction. It would just be your body doesn't like that herb, or it's very sensitive to it. You know, like some people's bodies are very sensitive to caffeine, right, which is an herb, right? And some people, they take caffeine, you know, half a cup of coffee, and they're bouncing off the roof. And other people, they can drink a cup of coffee and then go to bed, no problem. So we need, by process of elimination, to figure out which one of these supplements is causing the accelerated heart rate. Now we need to have an analog for it. So if it's the EFAs that are doing it, switch to the multi-EFA, because the multi-EFA is plant-based. If it's the EFA that's doing it, then switch to the multi-EFA. If it's the Ultimate Daily Cap that's doing it, then switch to the de-stress. Switch to the de-stress. And if it's the selenium that's doing it, we're really in a sticky wicket, because that is the only supplement that Youngevity has that's a good selenium donor. So if this is the case, Dean, if it's the selenium that's the culprit, we're going to have to secure you a high-quality selenium supplement with ample amounts of chromium in it, or copper in it, as a workaround for Youngevity's, because the only Youngevity selenium supplement is the Ultimate Selenium. And because of your cardiomyopathy, you need a boatload of selenium every day. But when we're taking large amounts of a micronutrient into the body, it must be balanced. Because if you just take an adequate amount of selenium into your body, it will leach out and waste copper from your body. And vice versa, if you take too much copper, it will waste selenium in your body. If you do too much calcium, it will waste magnesium. If you do too much magnesium, it will waste copper. If you do too much vitamin C, it will also waste copper. How about that? So this is why we are advocates of holistic medical nutrition. Because when you give your body everything that it needs all of the time, then you don't have to worry about upsetting the apple cart, because the basic idea here, the basic premise, is that the body is smart enough to figure it out on its own. So we give the body everything that the body needs in adequate amounts, appropriate for your body weight, in recipes which are absorbable and bioavailable. Get the heck out of the way, and that is a much better strategy. So check it out. That's what I would do. Eliminate one of the supplements at a time, the EFA, then the Ultimate Daily, and then the selenium. And through process of elimination, you should be able to quickly tell which one is the culprit, and then eliminate that one from your diet and switch it out, and then life is good. One more question from the chat room that I'd like to talk about here today. Find it here. Here we go. What can I recommend to an 80-year-old man who has several kidney stones in his bladder? Is there anything that can be done to dissolve, or what does he have to do to make his way through this? So, again, kidney stones. Well, what causes a kidney stone? The MD will tell you that a kidney stone is caused by too much calcium, and they're right, but they're mostly wrong, because they think that too much calcium comes from your food. And it's virtually impossible to take supplemental calcium too much. It's virtually impossible to do that. Your body has massive needs for calcium every day. It's very, very easy to have not enough calcium in your body. Well, what happens when you don't have enough calcium is that your parathyroid glands secrete a chemical which robs calcium from your bones. Now, if your calcium levels are chronically low, that hormone is secreted all the time. It's called parathormone. And when you get parathormone in your blood all the time, it robs massive amounts of calcium from the bones, which floods your blood with calcium. And as your blood, loaded with calcium, passes through the kidney, all that calcium collects and jams up inside the kidney, creates a kidney stone. The most common cause of calcium oxalate kidney stone in the kidney is chronically low levels of nutritive calcium. The MDs have this one completely backwards. So anybody that has chronic kidney stones must take supplemental calcium into their body every day in excess of 1,200 milligrams per 100 pounds of body weight per month. The best way to do that is with either the Beyond OsteoFX liquid, the Beyond OsteoFX powder, or a SuperLife product sold by Youngevity called Cal Toddy. That's C-A-L, like calcium, Toddy. The recommendation, 1 bottle of the liquid calcium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And, you know, because there's chronic kidney stone formation here, the recommendation is more than what's adequate for a maintenance dose. So my recommendation for 90 days would be to triple the amount of calcium that you take. So if you're 100 pounds, take a 300-pound calcium dose. If you're 200 pounds, take a 600-pound calcium dose. Take a lot of calcium into your body for 3 months in order to give yourself a leg up and get on the other side of this condition as rapidly as possible. Now, once there's a kidney stone in the kidney and your body has vital force sufficient to the cause, it will pop the kidney stone out. The kidney stone travels down the little tube that connects your bladder to your kidney to your bladder. It's called the ureter. And then it dumps off into the bladder, and as it travels down that tube, it's very, very, very painful. Well, now you've got a kidney stone in the bladder. How are you going to help the body dissolve the kidney stone? By eating lots of asparagus. Asparagus, and I mean lots of asparagus. Have asparagus for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a month. Just go crazy for asparagus. And the asparagus will make the contents of the urine such that the stones that are in there will reduce in size, and then you should be able to just pee them out. And about 2 weeks into the program, I would start doing yoga exercises which invert the body, because you want to lift the bladder up, flip it around so that the contents of the bladder kind of mix around. You want to, it's like tipping a bottle upside down just to get the contents to mix, right? We do that with orange juice. Do the same thing with your bladder. See what happens. Life is good, everybody. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, coming back to finish it up. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you on Monday, October 14th, finishing up today's show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in and turning on. And I have a request to Youngevity Nation. I have a request for those of you in Youngevity Nation. There is a radio talk show host. His name is George Norrie. George Norrie, Noorey. He has a radio program called Coast to Coast. Call Coast to Coast. Tell them that you would love it if George Norrie interviewed Dr. Glidden, because Dr. Glidden talks about real-time stuff that's of the nature of conspiracy theory, right? George Norrie's whole thing, the Coast to Coast radio program, is about, is the moon hollow? Did aliens come to the Earth and make a secret pact with the U.S. government in the 1950s, Roswell, and time travel, and all this real controversial stuff having to do with worldwide conspiracy theories of the elite, of the same ilk of Alex Jones, but Alex Jones is all about eugenics, and George Norrie is all about everything other than that having to do with conspiracies. The thing about conspiracies is, how the heck can you really prove that the moon is hollow? How can we prove this stuff? It's interesting to talk about. And there's circumstantial evidence which points to this, that, or the other thing, why he has such a huge listenership. And I'm a big fan of George Norrie's show. I love it. It's called Coast to Coast. It airs in the middle of the night all around the country. But what we bring to the table is conspiracy theories that aren't really conspiracy theories because it's just facts. But they are so big that people completely overlook them. And it's easy to prove. Because like the fella said, you're welcome to your own opinion, just not your own set of facts. Fact. The leading cause of death in the United States, 780,000 people a year are killed by MD-directed medicine. Fact. 12 women a day die from overdoses of prescription medicines for pain given to them by MDs. Fact. Since the MDs have driven the bus of medicine, Alzheimer's has skyrocketed from obscurity to become the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. Fact. There is no gene that causes Alzheimer's. Fact. While we've let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, autism has skyrocketed. 1 out of 50 children born today is autistic. Fact. While we've let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, MD-directed medicine. Fact. While we've let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, arthritis, heart disease, $600 billion of cancer research, and we've got jack to show for it. All of these things, taken from the proper perspective, add up to one simple solution, one simple fact. that everybody in this country overlooks, and everybody needs to pull their heads out of the sand. We all need to take the red pill. That's me. We all need to pop out of the matrix, because everybody in this country owes their allegiance, their intellectual allegiance, genuflex at the altar of MD-directed medical treatment every day. And it is the worst possible thing anybody can do for their health. You want to make a big splash? Want to get this message to millions of people instead of thousands of people? Call Coast to Coast up and tell whomever you speak to on the phone you want Dr. Glidden on Coast to Coast. You want Dr. Glidden on Coast to Coast. Call them right now. I want to flood their telephone system with phone calls. Make the request. Have everybody in your family make the request. Have everybody in your church make the request. Cut, copy, and paste the phone number for Coast to Coast Radio to everybody in your email list. Have everybody in your email list make this call, and if everybody rises to the occasion, before you know it, we are going to hit a home run. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden tonight for Dr. Glidden Insiders and their guests. Live chat, 8 o'clock Central Time. If you're not a subscriber, just visit the website, click on the Become an Insider button, and join Longevity Nation. It will arguably be the best thing you've ever done in your life to support and promote the structure and function of your body and assist you in the process of living long and prospering. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, God willing, back in the saddle tomorrow. See you then.